Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's complimentary webinar from ICMI, Making Workforce Optimization Your Best Business Partner, sponsored by InContact. I'm Christina Hammerberg, Associate Editor and Community Manager for ICMI, and I will be your host today. Before we begin, let's do a little housekeeping. First, I'll ask that you take a moment to disable your pop-up blockers if they're on. There are several icons at the bottom of the presentation window. The first allows you to see the presentation slides, so make sure that this one is maximized. Next is Q&A. You can participate in our live Q&A session by asking questions at any time during the presentation. Just click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen to bring up the question window. Then type your question into that window. And don't forget to click the Submit button when you're through. You can also learn more about our speakers today by clicking on the speaker bio icon located next to the Q&A icon in the presentation window. The slides will advance automatically throughout this event. But if you'd like to download a copy of today's slides, you can just click on the Download Slides icon, also located at the bottom of the presentation window. You can also click the information icons to find out more about our sponsor, upcoming ICMI webinars, or to share this event with a friend. If you're experiencing any technical problems during this presentation, you can click the Help icon, the one with the question mark, to access the event help guide. With us today, we have Brian Golden, Founder and Managing Partner for Contact Center 411, and Kristen Emenecker, Vice President of Product Marketing for InContact. Welcome, Brian and Kristen. So workforce management doesn't just impact the contact center. The entire organization can benefit from an effective workforce optimization strategy. Today, we'll cover how the contact center, IT, and other department executives can share information, work together, and deliver a more cost-effective customer experience. And now on to today's presentation. Brian will start us off. Brian, are you ready to begin?
I believe so. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
So today we're going to talk about optimizing your contact center workforce through a number of proven techniques, including workforce management, quality assurance, identifying and leveraging upsell and cross-sell opportunities, performance management, voice of the customer, desktop and telephony tools for self-service and optimizing efficiency, and we'll talk about providing value throughout your organization. Along the way, I'm going to highlight some opportunities for you to promote your contact center's efficiencies throughout the organization, because with access to the right data on how your team increases sales and reduces customer churn, you can easily demonstrate your positive impact to the bottom line, showing incredible value. It won't be long before other departments and executives are willing to share the total cost of support ownership, all thanks to the workforce optimization. We're also going to discuss some of the advantages of cloud versus premise-based infrastructure to enable your contact center with the right workforce optimization tools. Effective workforce management still depends on the same tried and true factors. These include forecast accuracy, which is important on the forecast volumes, arrival patterns, and handle times. All three of those components are important. They should be historical and or event-based depending on your business. It also depends on staffing flexibility and adherence, as well as real-time management. And let's face it, these factors are the baseline of workforce optimization as well as the most costly. Hitting our service levels, managing to the peaks, and having a flexible and happy contact center staff costs money. But I'm happy to say that with the information you'll get today, you'll be better equipped to explain why these factors are so vital to customer satisfaction, to agent satisfaction, to sales, and to revenue. The tools supporting many of these factors have improved dramatically, but the job of the workforce manager in the contact center has also become far more complex. Complex agent skill profiles, including language, inquiry, region, and many more are impacting the job of the workforce manager today. All of these are things that they have to consider. And the more complex our products get, and the more diverse and savvy our customers are, the more we need to adapt to them. The speed and efficiency with which you do this is so vital, and that's where the right workforce optimization tools come into play. But we'll get to those in a bit. In fact, Kristen from InContact will talk more about some of those tools specifically. In today's contact center environment, an agent's workload can include blending, which is handling multiple contact channels such as inbound, outbound, email, and or live web chat, even all within a single shift or workday. It also can involve multi-skilling, which is receiving inquiries of a variety of types, such as taking both sales and technical troubleshooting calls based on their knowledge and skill set and expertise. Blending also allows multitasking. When inbound volumes are low, agents can perform outbound calls, or they can handle customer emails during the downtime between calls. Today's contact center technology enables agents to do this effectively, which brings some of the opportunities for optimization that we were alluding to earlier. See if there are other channels in the organization like social media or mobile support that you can acquire. A lot of times marketing or PR currently owns all of those social responses. If that's the case, start partnering with them to take over the true support cases. Is your sales team running some outbound test campaigns for retention or new business leads? Is that an expertise that you can adopt? An effective workforce optimization strategy can take those channels and skills from other departments and effectively move them into your support organization. Once you've shown how your team can handle it, you've seriously increased your return on investment, as well as showcased the capability of your operation. Oftentimes, the recognition of other departments that this earns can translate to approval for additional headcount, along with the respect and gratitude of the other department managers. As contact managers, this is your sweet spot. Nobody else in the organization can really handle this at the high volume with which it starts to come in, and this gives you the opportunity to prove that. So leveraging these options optimally brings a new set of challenges and questions. So what is the right mix of agent whenever it comes to blending? What are the unique skills that are required for each channel, and how do we identify those? When it comes to multi-skilling, how do we identify the skills that a contact requires for effective routing, and how do we augment an agent's skills over time? And with multitasking, obviously the big question is, at what point does the law of diminishing returns kick in and start to impact quality? While there's more and more data available on best practices and industry standards for these operational questions and challenges, it will take some time and effort for you to hone in on exactly what the right expectations are for your organization. As I mentioned, when customer interaction channels are new to an organization, often marketing or public relations will want to manage and control them. But even more quickly than we saw with the channels like email and chat, the volumes become unwieldy and overwhelming for them. The contact center is typically the only area that can scale and handle the kind of volume that these channels are going to generate. So as a contact center leader in your organization, it's a good idea to have it on your strategic roadmap so you're prepared to offer support when it hits that tipping point. The transition planning is also a great opportunity for establishing the right working partnerships with those other groups. If you can collaborate with them by offering to share the valuable trends and insights that come from this customer feedback data, you can also gain their support in the quick resolution of issues that affect large volumes of customers. Real-time adherence monitoring tools have also improved tremendously with features like highlighting outliers based on standard ranges or thresholds that you've established, alerting managers and supervisors to scheduling or adherence exceptions, and providing early notification of significant variances between forecast and actual workload. But no matter how good these tools are, nothing takes the place of human supervision and management in your contact center. These tools can help your supervisors quickly spot potential problems and identify where their attention is needed most, but that attention is still critical, along with their expertise in knowing how to respond to and take corrective action. When incorporating practices like blending, multi-skilling, and multitasking into your operation, as well as making a lot of on-the-fly adjustments to respond to these alerts that are coming through our workforce management and optimization tools, it's important to recognize the significant flexibility and tenacity that this requires of your agents. Considering this, it's also critical to maximize the flexibility for your agent population. This can include ensuring that your organization allows part-time and alternative work schedules like split shifts, fewer longer shifts in a week, etc. Making it easy for them to trade shifts, allowing volunteers to leave early when workload is lower than expected, and incenting agents for taking otherwise undesirable schedules. Laura Grimes, who facilitates ICMI's Workforce Management Bootcamp, likes to tell a story about a client that she was working with, or a call center she was working with in Phoenix, that whenever she was looking at their call arrival patterns, she saw a need for agents to do a split shift starting at 6 in the morning until about 10, and then their volumes were low between the hours of 10 and 2, but then increased again in the mid-afternoon. So she wanted to identify some people who would be willing to take and work that split shift. So one of the things that she identified as a solution was what she called a golf shift. There was a golf course nearby, and she went in and inquired about the cost of obtaining some memberships for that golf course, and then offered those as an incentive to people who would volunteer to take that split shift. And she found 5 people that were willing to take that shift, and they were able during the wintertime months, whenever that was an issue, to be able to get in a round of golf every day in the middle of their shift. So they got to golf for free, and she got exactly the workforce scheduling that she needed. This is another reason why your contact center is the best equipped to handle this. Imagine marketing or product trying to manage flexible shifts and multiple queues. In some organizations, it probably wouldn't be a stretch, but those are definitely the minority. This flexibility is key to demonstrating cross-departmental value and showing finance how you can actually save money with more people. All channels are going to require QA support, not just your inbound phone channel. So that's going to include email spot checking, live chat session monitoring, and social media response monitoring. If your contact center handles social media interactions, the quality of these is especially important because these interactions often take place in front of a large and public audience. Here's another important point. If your marketing team owns all social media responses, it's highly unlikely that they have a formal QA process in place like the contact center does. It's not to say that how they're responding is incorrect. In fact, they're probably an excellent resource for helping to establish the tone and direction of how these interactions are handled. However, without a QA process intact, the likelihood for error is much higher, especially as volumes increase exponentially. In a highly visible channel like social, this can be detrimental. The design of your QA process, as well as your customer feedback surveys, also presents good opportunities to partner, and I can't say that enough. It should address the unique attributes of each contact channel, aggregate reporting across all channels, providing overall quality results both at the organization level and the individual agent level, as well as triangulate quality scores and results against customer survey responses. In doing this design, you can partner with sales when it comes to defining the success criteria for retention, cancellation, or even outbound lead generation calls. You can also partner with product on developing your QA process for mobile support and with marketing or PR on social. Although you may adopt the people in the process, they'll have some great insights to provide on the desired outcome, as well as identifying the right questions and means for assessing customer satisfaction. Again, this kind of partnering will increase their sense of ownership for these programs, as well as ensure that the output data is something of value to them. In turn, this will increase their desire to share resources, budget, and ultimately cost of ownership. Any quality monitoring form or process should include the following components for each agent-customer interaction. These include the resolution measures of was the customer's inquiry resolved, as well as call handling process pieces. In collaborating with the other parts of your organization, they may be expecting your agent to leverage the opportunity presented by an inbound customer contact to accomplish other things, such as selling additional products, services, updating database information, gathering product feedback, etc. In order to be successful at any of those things with most customers, your agents need to earn the right to the customer's time for these activities by first resolving the customer's inquiry or problem to his or her satisfaction. Some of these other call handling process skills will also help to enable this. Good telephone etiquette is a basic customer expectation on any interaction, and it's also critical for an agent to keep a customer engaged on a call. If a customer finds them knowledgeable and competent, he or she will also trust them and be more apt to listen to recommendations of other products and services. Other key components include the error and rework rate, since this often can have a negative impact on other departments in the organization who may need to help clean up the mess. And finally, adherence to protocol is always important to provide a consistent customer experience, but it's also often critical to maintaining legal compliance, especially when it comes to things like verifying customer identity and stating all the terms and conditions associated with a sale. Speech analytics are another tool involved in that can be used in conjunction with your quality monitoring and recording tools. These latest QA tools will perform content analysis of call recordings that will identify the following based on tone, language, and keywords used. Some of the things that these tools are designed to identify or predict from a call recording can include the likelihood that an issue was resolved, distress on the part of the agent or on the part of the customer, the overall customer satisfaction level with the interaction, additional information on call type, as well as likelihood that a sale was attempted and or whether or not it was successful. Of course, we all know that these tools aren't perfect, but they can give your supervisory and QA staff some great direction on identifying the right calls to listen to if they're trying to coach on certain behaviors or outcomes, rather than just monitoring or listening to random calls to try to find what they're looking for. Speech analytics and call recordings are also great deliverables to share with your cross-departmental partners. They can get a true voice of the customer example of how customers are using your product and service and identify where their challenges and successes might be. I would suggest even holding monthly listening parties or meetings with product and marketing. If you can swing it, you can even invite a C-level executive or two if you think you need that high-level backing. You can also optimize the time of your QA staff by leveraging QA tools to select specific calls more quickly, identify the contexts containing the best feedback and learning opportunities using some of the following criteria. 1, focusing on certain call types based on overall trends in the center or even individual developmental needs. Use keywords to quickly hone in on what customers are saying about a certain product, service, or topic. Identify interactions that may have presented challenges to the agent. Identify unsuccessful sales attempts to uncover improvement opportunities. Think how valuable this can be to your other departments. Imagine you've added or changed a feature of a long-time product or service, and your product group wants to hear immediately what customers are saying about it. You can use the keyword searches in these speech analytics tool to find some calls related to that. Or let's say your company has experienced some sort of a PR disaster and they want to hear how customers are reacting. These tools can help you to quickly provide them with a batch of recordings that will give them exactly the feedback that they're looking for. And it's coming directly from your customers. When looking at performance management in your organization and establishing the scorecards, make sure that your primary set of metrics at all levels, both individual agent and organization-wide, contain both service and cost-focused metrics, or quality and efficiency metrics. We've all heard the phrase, what gets measured gets done. This is true in any contact center environment. Agents will strive to give you what your metrics or feedback are focused on, but sometimes to the detriment of other critical items. Depending on what these things are, they could impact the value or the perception of the value that you're providing throughout the organization if you're missing something that's critical or deemed important to another department. In that vein, the main quality-focused metrics that you'll want to focus on in your contact center are first call resolution rate. Are your customers getting what they need the first time they contact you? Remember that this is not only an individual measure of the agent, but an overall center metric. If you're not getting the results you want here, it could be because you're not providing all the tools necessary to enable your agents to get the job done. Transfer rate is another one. Are your customers getting to the right agent right away? A large volume of transfers impacts both customer experience and the cost of servicing your customers. Others include telephone etiquette, knowledge and competency, error rates, which we spoke of earlier, and process adherence. Next, there are the efficiency-focused metrics. In order to manage your operational costs, the quality metrics that we talked about need to be balanced against a set of efficiency metrics. Some of these include schedule adherence, availability, average handle time, after call work, on-hold time, and conversion rate. Many of these efficiency metrics are not just internally focused. For example, schedule adherence typically affects metrics that are felt by the customer, like speed of answer or abandonment rate. For example, a high average handle time also not only is costly for your organization, but it's also a measure of how much time and effort your customer is having to spend with you in order to get their inquiry resolved. In addition to the need for quality assurance, each new channel brings about another set of performance metrics and targets. And once you have all these metrics, don't forget to share them. Determine what KPIs are most influential to support your requested technology investment or other desired department objectives. For example, high after call work and hold time might not be indicative of agent behavior, but instead the result of antiquated tools. If you can prove to finance that those metrics will go down with a better CRM and agent desktop tools, you can translate that to the increase in number of contacts an agent can handle faster, which decreases necessary staffing and increases customer satisfaction. With that, you'll have a really solid argument that a CFO will consider. Contact center managers have more tools than ever before for monitoring the productivity of their agents. These reports are available at the click of an icon for almost every key performance indicator. But these reports and metrics are usually just part of the story. To really get to the bottom of them, you'll often have to observe calls or other contacts. In some cases, especially when it comes to the antiquated tools affecting your agent's ability to get things done quickly, you may have to observe their screen activity or even sit side by side with them to see what's really going on. Sometimes you'll find that the root cause behind your results lies completely outside the realm of your contact center. Don't just assume that a low first contact resolution rate or high errors in reworks or transfer percentage is solely your burden to master. There could actually be a problem with the product or service. And if that's the case, it's not just the agents that are affected, it's your customers as well. So look for those symptoms and get that feedback over to product and marketing as soon as possible. Everyone wants to know about these things because fixing them will ultimately increase revenue and customer satisfaction and decrease churn. E-learning is another good workforce optimization tool. And in large contact center environment, e-learning provides some of the following benefits. It provides consistent delivery of training materials and content across a large audience. It also provides consistency and objectivity of training assessments. And it also is an excellent tracking and record-keeping mechanism for tracking success across a large employee population, as well as compliance for required training modules. In a smaller contact center, an e-learning system may seem like a big training investment. However, it can quickly offset the cost of instructor-led training, since class sizes are often small, even one-on-one with a single agent. For product and other training, contact centers can often use courses developed for the contact center as broader use throughout the organization. This can be a great opportunity for you to share cost burden with other parts of your organization. If your organization already has a learning management system in place for e-learning and computer-based training, it'll generally have the capacity to support all of your contact center training, as long as you can partner with your corporate learning services group to understand and help meet your needs. However, if your contact center is the first to make this investment and e-learning isn't commonly used in your company, you can identify ways to leverage it outside of your contact center operation. E-learning is great for delivery of requisite training programs like ethics courses, harassment-free workplace, and other compliance-related courses. Plus, the tracking mechanisms that are part of learning management systems are great for being able to demonstrate compliance to external parties in an audit. Any e-learning program should include material that is relevant to the employee's job. Ensure that content is up to date and be designed in a modular format with shorter topic-based courses, even as low as 10 or 15 to 30 minutes, but not longer than 45. Here's a great workforce optimization secret. E-learning is a great way to offset the high idle time for those of you that have small centers or where you have expensive and underutilized specialty teams. If you have some 15-minute modules on hand on leadership, management, call handling tricks, or other department and product updates, then agents can access those when they're experiencing downtime by letting workforce management know that they want 15 minutes to complete an e-learning session. If the queues start to increase for some reason, workforce management can easily have those agents pause the session and jump back in. So this allows you to expand your agent's skill set while your workforce management still has the needed availability, and your utilization will look better. In addition to e-learning, there are great ways to incorporate instructor-led training for training on topical or dynamic subject matter that changes a lot. Also to provide supervised hands-on system training and practice, role-playing, and providing opportunities for subjective as well as objective evaluation of participant performance. And as always, in the contact center, nesting is still a critical part of any contact center training program. I know it goes without saying, but having speech analytics and call recording as part of your workforce optimization strategy can be game-changing. By knowing what a best call sounds like, you can analyze it, share it, and train it, and you'll easily be able to identify what customers want to know and how they hear it. You can better train agents on content and coach on tone and rapport, and as we discussed before, you'll be able to share that with other departments. Quality monitoring calibration sessions are also a best practice in a contact center for ensuring agreement on or a common understanding of what that best call sounds like. Occasionally inviting people from other departments in your company, like marketing or product, might also offer some new and different perspectives on what that best call is. And now when talking about that, let's talk a little bit about voice of the customer. While the contact center owns responsibility for the customer relationship, much of the data that comes out of that can enable other parts of the organization to be successful. When used correctly, data on customer complaints can help identify a design flaw or production quality issue, and customer suggestions can feed into research and development for developing more competitive and consumer-centric products. And as well, other customer feedback will tell you when a product or service doesn't match the image of the brand. This is your gold mine when it comes to providing value to other departments, and it's where they understand how customer support engages with customers, as well as where the true pain points exist. If you need tools and resources, this is where you can demonstrate that need and show the return. So share the wealth and use it to establish and cultivate the relationships with other departments that are customers of your voice of the customer data. Strive to develop reports and reporting processes that are focused on their needs and engage them in that process. Establish regular meetings and focus groups for them to talk directly with your agents to get more information and validate the interpretation or conclusions from that data. Self-service options are also becoming more important. With the increase of mobile and social channels, customers really expect answers 24/7, and the portion of your customers that are willing and even wanting to get those answers by self-service is increasing. Even if you can't prove the ROI on live service across all hours, you can implement an effective knowledge-based portal or help system. Every department fields employee or customer questions in some capacity, so here's a great place to spread the cost across many, if not all, departments. And when it comes to utilizing self-service with your customers, always regularly check their level of satisfaction with it through your survey and other mechanisms to make sure that it's actually working for them. Now let's talk about a few of the things that might not traditionally be considered as part of workforce optimization. All of these are great add-ons to a good base workforce optimization strategy that can be used for better agent efficiency, customer engagement, or more understanding of customer usage statistics. You'll know which ones can work best for your organization and which provide the most value back to marketing, sales, product, or finance. One is a natural language IVR. It may not always increase the number of transactions that can be completed via self-service. However, it can improve the customer experience if the technology works well and the design is good. It can also help to more easily and more specifically identify the reason for the customer's call, which can improve call routing accuracy. And we all know with agent skills and expertise and the various skill groups that we have that accuracy is becoming more and more important. Natural language IVRs can also personalize menus and options based on recent customer activity and patterns so that it helps them to identify more quickly what it is that they're calling about. Also, computer telephony integration with screen pop can be a big contributor to handle time savings and enable your agents to focus more quickly on the customer's inquiry or problem whenever the call arrives. Can also tell the agent whether the customer's identity has been validated and alert them to why the customer is calling so that they can get right to the root of the issue. CTI can also pop the agent to the screen in the customer record that's most likely going to be needed to handle the customer's request right away. It can also provide agent with information on what the customer experienced in the IVR and what information they've already gotten, as well as play targeted marketing messaging for the customer while waiting on hold and alert the agent to specific products or services to offer to the customer based on data analysis. These are all things that your marketing department would love to be able to have access and share with you. addition to the voice of the customer data, a contact center can provide value to the organization in a number of ways. Workforce management tools and processes now can be used outside the contact center in a number of different areas. For example, field service, production, etc. Quality assurance tools and processes can also be used and shared in other departments that perhaps your internal help desk operations, even those can benefit from call recording and monitoring tools. Another way to look at this is piggybacking. If you support a sales-centric organization, chances are they'll get the budget approval for more advanced tools. So pay attention to their needs and be the one to suggest the better CRM that fits both of your needs. Contact centers have also long been a great source of candidates for filling positions throughout the rest of many organizations. Experienced contact center employees generally possess great product knowledge and company knowledge, understanding of customer market needs and wants, demonstrated workplace flexibility, and a proven work ethic, moderate or better computer skills, as well as problem-solving capabilities. These are all great foundational skills and attributes that are needed throughout your organization, and that's why the contact center is often a first source for recruiting for certain areas within the rest of your organization. So one of the things that you can do is provide, first of all, expanded career paths within your contact center. In many centers, the role of agent spans multiple job grade levels, and agents can advance by expanding their skills across multiple contact centers, multiple contact channels. For example, we used to see that the agent population in a contact center used to be 1 or 2 grade levels. Now, with multiple skills, multiple channels, etc., we are seeing that it spans a broader range of organizational and job skill levels within the organization. They can take on a wider variety and start handling more complex contact types, and they can become a lead agent assisting and supporting others. But for many of your agents, they're going to want their career path to extend outside the contact center. So rather than resisting this, go ahead and build it into your staffing plan. Partner with the other departments to identify and forecast their needs. Plan this eternal attrition into your hiring and training plans, and suggest an arrangement for them to contribute to your hiring and training budget for each employee they hire from your operation. Another advantage of doing this is that the employees who move to the other areas understand the needs of the contact center. One of the things that I'm finding with other organizations as well is that the contact center is a great place, a great lab for testing and piloting new HR policies, benefits, incentives, etc. Because it provides large populations of employees that are doing similar work. It provides a highly measured work environment for being able to track results, a good environment for holding focus groups to get qualitative feedback, and a large concentration of the organization's youngest employees provides key insights into what will be important to the next generation of employees and for the workforce in general. So the human capital people in your organization are going to be wanting to observe and interact with your employees to find out what are the trends that are going to be coming down the pike for employees throughout the organization. And now let's talk about contact center technology in the cloud, since we talked about a lot of the ways that you can use these solutions and utilize your contact center to provide value throughout the organization. What I've seen a lot with my clients is that for centers with end-of-life or end-of-support technology, the cloud helps avoid the huge capital investment or forklift replacement. A significant portion of the cost can be offset by the operational savings of support staff and infrastructure. Another great feature is the Evergreen feature that's offered by most cloud providers, which ensures regular upgrades. It ensures that each component will be upgraded regularly over time. because when new technologies become needed or available, they can be added in a timely manner and with relatively small incremental cost, because typically they're built to integrate fairly seamlessly or fairly simply with the existing suite of tools. Components come closely integrated, and therefore they provide integrated reporting as well as more seamless desktop experiences for your agents and other users, which can help the efficiency of their call handling. Solutions are also scalable, both up and down in both capacity and cost to match the changing needs of your organization. So those are just a few of the benefits of cloud-based solutions, and Kristen is going to talk a little bit more about that. But as promised, we've given you some great tangible suggestions on building a workforce optimization strategy, and we've highlighted ways you can use it to get what you need to drive agent and customer satisfaction. We've shown you where you can promote the contact center's efficiency to other areas of your organization and what it looks like when you demonstrate how your team improves the bottom line in terms of sales and customer churn and revenue. So now it's up to you to show your incredible value and share your knowledge, voice, and metrics across the departments, and hopefully your executives will be willing to share the total cost of ownership. I'm now going to pass the presentation on to Kristen from InContact to talk a little bit about their suite of tools.
Great. Thanks, Brian. I love it. We got WFO processes and then some. That was fantastic. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Some of you I've met before or worked with over the years, and I've seen many changes in the contact center industry, but I have to say that we live in probably one of the most fascinating ages. You know, Forrester described this age of the customer, right? The time where we moved from the commercial businesses driving change and driving direction from whether it be manufacturing or distribution or information to really an age where the customer sits at the center of information, of knowledge, of decision making, all of the dynamics that we see in the for those of us who are facing, you know, customers in the customer contact world, they all revolve around that customer. And it's creating certainly an environment that is increasingly complex for us as we're trying to manage, right? We've got, you know, self-service, which is increasingly becoming used, but we need good self-service so that there are good experiences, and Brian talked about that a little bit. We've got the drive of social media and the incredible breadth and scope of voice that a customer has now, and of influence that customers have on one another. We've got mobile and the fact that our communication devices go with us everywhere, and we communicate in different ways now, and the consumer continues to communicate in different ways, and the technology changes so rapidly that we fully anticipate that the ways that we're going to need to support our customers 5 years from now, 10 years from now, haven't even been imagined yet. So it's really a challenging and yet a really, really interesting time to be in the customer contact business. The reason why I am so passionate about workforce optimization and WFO and have been for a long, long time is because WFO helps us to meet those challenges, and I think today more than ever. So an integrated workforce optimization solution should provide you with intelligence into your processes, right? What's happening, what's working, what's not working. It should provide you with information in a single data source so that you can see across your customer interactions, across their sentiment, their activities, what it is that they're doing with you, what it is that makes them happy with you, what it is that makes them stay with you, what it is that makes them leave you, what it is that makes your competitor attractive to them. It should create a good collaborative environment for the agents and for the supervisors as well as the broader enterprise to understand the customer experience from multiple angles and to be able to understand how they play a role in impacting the customer experience. And it should provide you with employee training and coaching and scheduling tools that actually increase employee satisfaction, which, of course, all of us who have been in the business know directly drives customer satisfaction. So workforce optimization, as Brian mentioned, just to sort of recap, can do lots of things to improve our business. It helps us to drive sales. It helps us to understand, selling best practices and be able to replicate that behavior across other agents and address specific skill deficiencies, whether we're in a cross-sell or a direct sale environment. It helps us to contain costs, to understand staffing models, when we should be staffing, where we should be staffing, how we should be staffing, where we're answering the same question multiple times, right, and how to move people to less expensive channels that can still meet their needs, really to just understand the cost satisfaction balance and make sure that we're providing the best possible customer experience with the best possible cost model for us from a business standpoint. Helps us to increase productivity for employees as well as satisfaction, as we already talked about. Improve that quality of service at every customer service touch point. So this is not just over the telephone. This certainly, as we mentioned, is a world where customers are communicating with us at different touch points, and we need to be able to improve the service at each one of those. Helps us to uncover the root cause of business issues. Is this a problem with the offer that we have? Is it a problem with the product? Is it a problem with our internal processes? Is it an internal fee or something wrong with the website that's driving call volume or driving dissatisfaction? It helps us to provide a workflow to leverage those findings so that we can actually get that information out to the rest of the enterprise, which Brian spent some time talking about, and I love. It's a subject I'm very passionate about, is elevating the contact center to become that information source within the enterprise, and workforce optimization has a key role to play in that. Sharpening our operational processes, leveraging actionable insight from those customer interactions so we can say, here's how we can change. Let me provide this insight back to my webmaster and back to my product people and back to my marketing department. And streamlining administration and management of those historically siloed applications that are part of workforce optimization. So let's cover that for a minute. Workforce optimization, when we talk about that, typically means the combination of your workforce management, your forecasting and scheduling, and your recording QM, so your contact recording and your quality evaluation, plus some other additional tools that Brian talked to you about. So things like, we all know we need some one-on-one live direct coaching, but a way to manage that coaching process so that it's communicating with workforce management and it's scheduling coaching time for those agents directly into their schedule based on, the optimal way for us to meet our service levels and still get that in there, and tracking it and sending alerts to managers if coaching sessions aren't taking place for a certain group of employees. So we make sure that that very critical process within the contact center is taking place. It also includes e-learning, which Brian talked about, right? So the ability to say, hey, listen, I'm evaluating this call. I see that this particular agent has an issue in this area, and I've got this great little fast learning clip that I can send out to them. I can send it over to my scheduling software because everything's all integrated out of the box, comes together in a suite, and my scheduler can then put it on the schedule at an optimal time. My agent sees it on their schedule, et cetera. So everything's working together and closely connected, as well as performance management scorecards that help me to understand my key performance indicators, of course, and to manage my business across all of the touch points. I made the move from the premise-based workforce optimization world after being there for 8 years, and prior to that, after being in the contact center and being a consultant and dealing with, quality best practices and scheduling best practices and performance improvement best practices. And in the last year, I made the move over to the cloud because the changes that I saw were so dramatic and so exciting in terms of the access that we can give people to workforce optimization, best-of-breed tools and processes and practices. With a cloud technology, you're paying a monthly subscription. And so that enables you to do multiple things. It enables you to move, of course, your expense from a capital expense to an operating expense. So it changes your cost model a little bit, helps you to, improve your processes, show that ROI over time as you're paying for the tool as opposed to paying for it all up front. It enables you to always be on the current version. So as all of the research and development dollars are being spent on, what is the latest and greatest in workforce optimization for one of the market-leading technologies like Verint, which is actually the tool that InContact brings to you in the cloud. It allows us to, or it allows you as the user, as the customer, to always be on that latest version. And when I worked for Verint on the premise side, I can tell you, most of our customers weren't on the latest version because that's just what happens with premise technology. It takes time to go through that upgrade. You got to get the budget. You got to, get maybe some new hardware. It's painful and it's a long process. So always being on the latest version and always benefiting from those newest features is certainly one of the reasons why customers love workforce optimization in the cloud and one of the reasons why I wanted to come over here. But I would say, kind of the bottom line for me, there are lots of other benefits in the cloud. Brian mentioned scheduling and the ability to do split schedules, and I love that story of, kind of the golf shift. That's excellent. But one of the things that the cloud is really good at is enabling at-home workers. And so at-home workers allow you to get some really interesting schedules that frequently meet their needs. If they're an at-home mom and they want to work a few hours early in the morning and a few hours later in the evening, as well as really allow us to get very finite in the way that we optimize our schedule. And then it allows us, I think, bottom line, to stop making and accepting compromise, whether that be from our workforce optimization solution or any of the other solutions we have within our contact center. I've said for many years that I've never met a contact center manager who wants to provide a less than optimal customer experience, who wants to cut corners, who doesn't want to have a wow experience for their customers and doesn't want to have, the greatest technology and be able to, have the customer be on the website and click to call or be on their mobile device and schedule a call, at a certain time because let them know that the hold time is going to be 5 minutes and, would they like us to call them back or would they like to schedule a call later? There are so many things that we can do now where we integrate all of the channels, and I've never met a contact center manager who doesn't offer that because they just don't want to. Because they're like, I don't care. It's not really a big deal for me to provide an optimal customer experience. What I have met and what I did myself when I managed contact centers is many, many, many of us who make compromises because we don't have the budget this year or we can't pay for that integration or we would love to have our CRM system integrated with our phone system, but it costs money and, it's challenging to get all that information populated over into my QM system or my recording. And so we make compromises based on the technical world that we've lived in, which has been, for most of us, largely the premise world. And to me, that is the most powerful aspect of cloud technology, more powerful than only paying for agents that you're using, not having to pay for seasonal spikes all year round. To me, the most powerful thing is not having compromises, having the best technical tools and having them in a really cost-effective way that's accessible to everybody. So at InContact, we certainly get the cloud. We also get WFO, so we have cloud technology for contact center infrastructure. We also offer a fully scalable multi-tenant true cloud version of Verint's Impact 360 Workforce Optimization Suite. We're on version 11, so for those of you who are Verint or Legacy Witness or Blue Pumpkin customers, that's the latest, and we continue to stay on top of their latest versions and provide them out to our customers. And thank you for your time. I'd love to hear your questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Kristen. Okay, so now let's get to the questions from our audience. I'll just remind everyone at this time that you can continue to ask questions during the Q&A session. Just remember to type them into the text box located on the side of the media player. So first of all, we have a question here for Brian. The question is, I see FCR listed on the quality metrics, which it certainly is, but I would think it would be better under efficiency metrics as well, along with contract rates. So they're just looking for your thoughts around that.
Yeah, I would agree that we're talking about FCR, first contact resolution. I would agree that it is a metric of both types. I mean, it's a customer metric, it's an efficiency metric, it's a quality metric, and it's why it's one of the top or most paid attention to metrics in the contact center, because it affects. It's an indicator of so many things, and it's an indicator of how well we're doing for our customers. What was the second part of the question? Could you repeat that?
Sure. Let's see.
Oh, you know what? I have the Q&A.
It just what they were asking about if it would be considered an efficiency metric as well.
Yes, absolutely. I would also consider it an efficiency metric because it's really what prevents additional calls from coming in, because typically when customers don't get their issue resolved on the first contact, they're going to have to call back, or we're going to have to call them back in order to get that resolved, which obviously has a negative impact on efficiency.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Okay, so this one is for Kristen. So we have a question. Say you're just starting out with your contact center and you're looking to grow it out. What are the scalability options here with a workforce optimization system?
So yeah, I mean, from a scalability perspective, depending on how small we're talking about when you start out. For InContact, we typically start at about 20 seats, but I do know that there are some, there are options out there in the market if you're 3-4 seats, depending on how sophisticated or what it is that you need. For InContact, we start our cloud-based solutions at about 20 seats and scale up into thousands. And that can be, your brick and mortar facility or facilities if you're larger. That can be at-home agents, as I talked about. That can be outsourcers. So one of the cool applications that I see for this is companies who have maybe an outsourcer that they use part of the year or all of the year, as well as their internal center, that they can have control and visibility over all of those calls when you go to the cloud. And then also that means control and visibility over the quality and all of the workforce optimization pieces of all of that, whether it's your internal center or your outsourced center. So it's flexible not only in terms of the size, but also in terms of where the physical agent sits and what sort of device they're answering the phone on. It can route calls or emails or contacts to multiple devices.
Great. Thank you so much, Kristen. Well, unfortunately, we have reached the top of the hour, and that's all the questions that we have time for today. If we didn't get to your question, don't worry. We will answer all the questions that are in the queue and make those answers available to you. Meanwhile, you can stay in touch with Brian and Kristen with any further content questions that you might have. You can also visit ICMI.com to find out about related trainings or upcoming webinars, and we hope that you'll join us again. So this concludes our program today. Shortly following today's live webcast, you will be able to access this presentation on demand. This webcast is copyright 2012 by ICMI. The presentation materials are owned by or copyright, if that is the case, by ICMI, which is solely responsible for its content, and the individual speakers are solely responsible for their content and their opinions. So on behalf of our guests and our sponsor, InContact, thank you for joining us today.